Hello everyone, we are from HRM4B and we are the group 3. Our presentation for today is Nature and Effects of Obligation. Our group consists of 3 members, me, Harris, and Liam Palacios, Reynalyn Cahugo, and Janice Payatot.
I'm Reynalyn Cahudo from HRM4B. Rights of creditor and duties of debtor under the nature of effects of obligations. A creditor has the right to expect payment, the delivery of goods or service, and to take legal action to secure their claim, such as placing a lien or garnishing wages. A debtor has the duty to fulfill the terms of agreements, such as making payments, taking care of property, or performing services. Both parties also have corresponding protections, with the debtor having the rights to be free from harassment and the creditor having duties to report accurate information. Meaning lahat ng creditor ay may right na makuha yung payment based sa contract or napag-usapan ng both parties. They also have a right to lien. It means may right yung creditor sa legal claim of property ng debtors para ma-secure yung payment at to garnish wages, meaning may portions sa kita mo na kukunin diretso sa credit. Rights of the creditor. Right to payment performance. The creditor has the fundamental right to receive the payment for the debt or the performance of an obligation as outlined in the agreement. May karapatan yung creditor na matanggap yung payment or performances of an obligation based sa napag-usapan. Right to fruits of the thing. From the time of the obligation to deliver a thing arises, the creditor has the right to any fruits or profits it generates, even before actual delivery. Meaning, kailangan magbigay yung debtor sa creditor when the obligation became effective to any fruits or kinita bago mag-transfer ng ownership. Right to specific performance. If a debtor fails to deliver a specific determinate thing, the creditor can compel the debtor to perform the delivery. It means that when the debtor fails to do the performance based on their contract, the creditor has a right to ask the court so that the debtor would fulfill their obligation without any monetary right to third party for performance. For generic things, the creditor can demand that the obligation be fulfilled at the debtor expense by a third party if the debtor fails to perform. It's said that when the debtor fails to do the performance, a third party can enter to do so by the demand of the creditor. Right to collateral security. For secured loans, the creditor has the right to possess or sell the collateral. Right to legal actions. The creditor can pursue legal remedies like placing a lien on property, garnishing wages, or seeking a fraudulent conveyance to collect a debt. Right? As I said earlier, the creditor can take legal action by placing a lien, garnishing wages, or by seeking fraudulent conveyance. Means the creditor can ask the court to transfer the property of the debtor to third party to avoid the intention of defrauding the creditor. Right to preservation of rights. Before a condition in an obligation is met, the creditor can take appropriate actions to preserve their rights. This is taking the legal concept to ensure that the creditor has the right of every claims. Duties of the debtor. Duty to deliver the obligation. The debtor is obliged to deliver the specific thing or perform the service agreed upon. The debtor has duty of proper care. The debtor has a duty to take care of a determinate thing with the proper diligence of a good father of a family unless the contract specifies otherwise. This means na yung debtor ay duty niya na alagaan yung portion of property na nakuha niya unless may specified na sinabi sa contract kung gagastusin niya ba to or may ibang gagawin siya dito. Duty to deliver accession and accessories. When a determinate thing is to be delivered, the duty includes all its accessions and accessories. Duty for fortuitous events. The debtor is generally liable for damages caused by fortuitous event if the delay in delivery or have promised to deliver the same thing to multiple parties. This means that the debtor is still responsible even though there are delays in delivering because of fortuitous events. Duty to perform perform at debtor's expense. If a debtor fails to perform an obligation to do something, they may be required to cover the cost for another person to do it or to undo the poorly performed work. This means that when the debtor has failed to perform and some third party would fix the failure of the work, the debtor is responsible to pay the cost of fixation of the work. Duty to pay damages. The debtor is liable for damages if they fail to fulfill the obligation or perform it. An obligation to give is legal commitment requiring one party, the obligor, to deliver a specific thing to another party, the obligee. This type of obligation is core concept in the law of obligation where it signifies a juridical or legal necessity, meaning it can be enforced through legal processes. In the context of contracts, such as sales agreement, the obligation to give involves the transfer of ownership of particular property or good from the seller to the buyer. Yung obligation to give ay isang legal commitment kung saan required yung one party ibigay yung specific thing to another party based sa napag-usapan nila. It also says na since this type of the obligation signify yung juridical, it means pwede siyang maging legal process. When it comes to contracts, katulad ng sales agreement, yung obligation to give is yung pag-transfer ng property of ownership to seller to buyer. Key aspects. Juridical necessity. This means the obligation is legal duty, not just a moral or ethical one, and has the force of law behind it. Obligor, the person of or entity bound to give. Obligee, the person or entity who has the right to receive the thing. Object, the give, the specific thing that must be the obligation to do and obligation not to do are legal concepts that refer to different types of commitments or duties that a party assumes in contract or agreement. The obligation to do refer to specific actions that a party commits to carry out as agreed upon in contract. The obligation not to do involve the restriction of certain actions or activities by one of the parties. Yung obligation to do, it refers sa action ng tao kung ano yung gagawin niya. It can be tasks, activities, or work-based agreement. Yung obligation not to do is yung pag hindi sunod ng isang party based sa pinag-usapan nila nung una sa isa pang party. Grounds for liability for damages include fraud, deliberate deception, negligence, careless acts of omission, delay, mora, and contravention of the terms of an obligation. These grounds found in legal codes like in the Philippine City Code, Article 1170, establish when a party can be held legally responsible causing damage to another. Ito yung kapag ang party ay may ginawa katulad ng fraud, pagloko, negligence, hindi maayos na pagkilos or poorly execution to do the task, delay, and contravention, mahahanap tong mga grounds sa Philippine Civil Code na na-establish to held responsible yung isang party sa nagawa niyang damages sa kabila.
Hello everyone, I am Harrison and Palacios, and my topic for today is about delay. Ang delay, ito yung failure na gawin ng obligation on time. Kahit may demand na galing sa creditor, ibig sabihin nahuli o hindi natupad ang dapat gawin sa tamang oras. Ang delay naman is may tatlo siyang klase. Ang una is mora solvendi. Ito yung delay ng debtor kapag hindi niya na-fulfill ang obligation. Pangalawa naman is mora accipendi. Ito naman yung delay ng creditor kapag ayaw niyang tanggapin ang performance. At pangatlo naman is yung compensation more. Ito yung nangyayari kapag pareho na sa delay ang debtor at creditor sa reciprocal obligations. Effects of delay, una is kapag may delay, nagiging liable ang debtor for damages. Pangalawa naman is yung risk of loss, lumilipat na rin sa kanya. At ang pangatlo, pwede resign o i-cancel ng creditor ang contract. Sa rules naman is, as a rule, walang delay kung walang demand na ginawa ang creditor. Maliban na lang kung sinabi ng law na unnecessary ang demand. Kasi sa liability naman, nagiging liable ang debtor kung yung delay ay may kasamang fraud, negligence, o breach of contracts. Fictitious event is an unforeseeable and avoidable event gaya ng natural disaster or what, na non-usually nag-exempt sa debtor sa liability. Pero according to the Civil Code, Article 1174 to 1177, may special rule kapag may delay na. Kung ang debtor ay already in delay, hindi niya pwedeng gamitin ang fictitious event bilang defense. Ibig sabihin, kahit may bagyo, lindol o anumang event na mananagot pa rin siya. Liable pa rin siya for damages and losses. Kasi nauna na siyang nagkaroon ng delay sa obligation. So dito, makikita natin na seryoso ang concept ng delay. Dahil kahit ang mga events, then human control, hindi na excuse kapag may delay. Tapos yung sa, tulad nga nasabi ko, may dalawang fictitious events. Una is act of God. Mga natural disaster yan. Yung tulad ng mga bagyo, baha, tapos mga lindol. Yung hindi human control po. Pangalawa naman is act of man. Gawa ng tao tulad ng gera, robbery, o wealth. Hindi siya exempt. Tapos yung sa requisites of a fictitious event. Para matawag na fictitious event, apat ang kailangan. Una, independent sa will ng debtor. Pangalawa is unforeseeable o unavoidable. Ang pangatlo is nagiging imposible ang performance. At pang-apat, walang negligence ang debtor. Tapos sa rules naman is hindi liable ang debtor kung di niya fulfill ang obligation dahil sa fictitious events. Tapos sa exception naman, may exception siya. Liable pa rin siya kung nasa delay na siya, kung inassume nga yung risk o kung sinasabi ng law or contract. Usurious transaction. Ito, usurious transaction ay nangyayari kapag ang lender ay naningil ng interest na sobra-sobra at hindi na reasonable. Madalas ito nangyayari kapag ang borrower is in desperate need of money na siya. Walang choice kundi umutang. Ang halimbawa nito is yung umutang ng 10,000 according sa fair rate, yung patas na rate is 12% per year ang dapat. Yung tulad niyan, 1,200 yung interest po. Pero dahil sa mga ibang lender po, 60% po minsan yung nangyayari. Yung sobra-sobra po ang paniningil ng interest po. Dahil dito, hirap magbayad ang borrower at napupunta siya sa debt trap. Kaya yung ganitong transaction ay tinatawag na usurious dahil malinaw na sobra at unfair ang sa legal basis of usurious transaction naman is originally may tinatawag na usury law siya na Act number 2655 kung saan may limit sa interest na pwedeng singilin. Pero nung 1982 po is tinanggal siya na sa maximum rate siya. Kaya dahil dito, ibig sabihin, libre na pwede na kahit anong mag-set ng interest ang lenders. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na pwede na silang maningil ng sobra. Kaya nangyayari is pwede pa rin silang ma-declare ng may declarable o ibasura ng korte yung pag sobra talaga yung.
Good day everyone, I'm Janice Benedolit and I will be discussing the meaning of presumption. By presumption is meant the interference of a fact not actually known arising from its usual connection with another which is known or proved. There are two types of presumption: the conclusive presumption and disputable presumption. Conclusive presumption, one which cannot be contradicted, like the presumption that everyone is conclusively presumed to know the law. And disputable or rebutable presumption, one which cannot be contradicted or refuted by presenting proof to the contrary, like the presumption established in Article 1176. Ang conclusive presumption, ito yung hindi na pwedeng kontrahin o baguhin. Example nito, yung batas na nagsasabing, ang batang wala pang 7 taong gulang ay hindi pa pwedeng gumawa ng krimen. Ang disputable presumption naman, ito yung mga pwede pang pag-isipan kung may ebidensya. Example, kapag ang tao nawala ng 4 na taon at walang balita, sinasabi na patay na, pero kung makita siyang buhay, mawawala ang mga sabi-sabi na iyon. In short, ang presumption is a legal assumption. Some presumption cannot be changed, ito yung conclusive. Some presumption cannot be challenged, ito yung disputable. When presumptions in Article 1176 do not apply. The first one is with reservation as the interest. These presumptions established in Article 1176 do not arise where there is a reservation that no payment has been made as to interest or prior installments. As the case may be, the reservation may be made in writing or verbally. The second one is receipt without indication of particular installment paid. This presumption in paragraph 2 of Article 1176 is not applicable if the receipt does not recite that it was issued for a particular installment due as when the receipt is only dated. The third one is receipt for a part of the principal. Such a receipt, without mentioning the interest, implies that the credit waives his right to apply the payment first to the interest and then to the principal as permitted by Article 1252. The fourth is payment of taxes. Article 1176 does not apply to payment of taxes. There is no presumption that previous taxes have been made by the payment of later ones. The fifth one is non-payment proven. Of course, Article 1176 is not applicable where the non-payment of prior obligations has been proven. A presumption cannot prevail over a when the Article 1177, the creditors, after having pursued the property in possession of the debtor to satisfy their claims, may exercise all the rights and bring all the actions of the latter for the same purpose, save those which are inherent in his person. They may also improve the acts which the debtor may have done to fraud them. Remedies available to creditors for the satisfaction of their claims. When a debtor fails to pay, the law provides several remedies for creditors. In case the debtor does not comply with his obligations, the creditor may avail himself of the following remedies to satisfy his claim. Exact fulfillment or specific performance to compel the debtor to perform the obligations. The exact fulfillment or specific performance with the right to damages. Pursue attachment or levy on property. Have the debtor's properties seized and sold to satisfy the claim. It is not exempt from attachment under the law. Property of the debtor. Transmissibility of rights. As a general principle, rights are transmissible, meaning upon death of a person, his rights and obligations are transferred to his heirs. All rights acquired in virtue of an obligation are generally transmissible or assignable. The exception to his rule are the following. Prohibited by law. When prohibited by law, like the rights in partnership, agency, and commoditum, which are purely personal in character. By the contract of partnership, two or more persons bind themselves to contribute money, property, or industry to a common fund, with the intention of dividing the profits among themselves. By the contract of agency, a person binds himself to render some service or to do something in representation or on behalf of another, with the consent or authority of the latter. By the contract of commoditum, one of the parties delivers to another something not consumable, example car, so that the latter may use the same for a certain time and return it. Commoditum is essentially gratuitous, prohibited by stipulation of the parties. When prohibited by stipulation of the parties, like the stipulation that upon the death of the creditor, the obligation shall be extinguished or that the creditor cannot assign his credit to another. Such stipulation being contrary to the general rule must be clearly proved or at the very least clearly implied from the wordings or terms of the
Hello everyone. We are from
I'm Reina